You good?
I'm good, Doc.
On more projects with my construction crews, and knock on wood, no more fires. Thanks, and tune in again for the next whatever. We'll catch you guys later.
Hey, real estate investors, when you have a rental property, is there actually life after it catches on fire? That's the topic of today's show. Let's dive in. All right, guys, what's happening? Today's show, I'm pretty pumped on it. We got a ton of information for you. The property that I teased for you on the intro of the show there, the address, 2136 West Boulevard. This is a triplex, fully turnkey. It's actually owned by one of my business partners, Nick Varner. But before I get into all of that, what happened with the fire and what's going on with the property now, I want to get into a few things with you guys quickly. Number one, I put out a video recently called Increase Your Income 8 Times Faster Using Other People's Money. That was for a quad that we were selling. In that video, I had asked you guys what my favorite type of investment property is. I asked you to go ahead and pause the video, post your guess in the comments below. Wanted to make sure that you guys are paying attention to what I'm trying to teach you out here. And I said I'd give shout outs to every single YouTuber out there that guessed correctly. And we had 9 people out there guess correctly. Quickly going through. Shout out to my man James Krause, Brian Shamrock 83, Lil Pump, thank you for your comments. I see you posting all the time, brother. I love you. I appreciate the love. Keith Grayson, Rich Estop, Mark Hansen, longtime client here at Holt and Wise. Thank you for your continued patronage, Mark. N. Quincy Adams, Haley Rainey, and Mo Aziz. You guys were all correct. Thank you for watching. Thank you for paying attention. And most of all, thank you for commenting. I love the comments, guys. Let's increase the engagement with the videos. So if you're watching any of these videos and you're thinking something in your head, don't be shy. Post in the comments below. There are no bad questions. You could post any questions you've got here in any of these videos. You know, if it's a pretty robust question that we can't answer with a quick paragraph, we'll make you your own personal video in the Ask James Wise series. The second thing that I want to talk to you guys about, something that I am super excited about right now, is the Holton-Wise Section 8 program. That program is relatively new. What it is a full, complete program where we can take your investment experience and work you through the entire Section 8 system. A lot of property managers out there, they don't want to handle Section 8 properties for their clients. Not the deal here at Holt and Wise, guys. We will do all of the work it takes to get you the highest return on your investments. When you're investing in Cleveland real estate, especially those higher risk properties, when you're looking at C-class and more importantly D-class investments, we've got a lot of stuff out in the Cleveland market where the prices are going to be between $30,000 and $50,000. And the best, most profitable way to run those is going through the Section 8 program. We're seeing rents well above $1,000 a month on $30,000 to $50,000 properties. And the only way to achieve those rents at those prices and get those rents paid in full on an incredibly consistent basis, in my opinion, is to utilize the Section 8 program. So if you've got any more questions about how things are going to transpire when you work with Holt and Wise and you have us fill your units with Section 8 tenants, I want you to go to holtonwise.com, go to our FAQ, scroll down to the question about Section 8 and click on the Section 8 FAQ. we have an entire page dedicated to teaching you exactly how the Section 8 process is going to work when you're working with Holton Wise. Because it ain't easy, all right? I would be lying to you if I said Section 8 was all blue sky. There is a lot of blue sky, but there's also a shit ton of red tape that Holton Wise has to go through, and that's what that Section 8 FAQ is going to teach you all about. The third thing I wanted to mention before we get to that triplex, 2136 West Boulevard, is another property that I've got coming out pretty soon. I got a few things happening around here, but I really like this property. This is going to be the next property video that we launch. This is a single family home in a really nice area, Parma Heights. This is currently owner occupied. The owners are moving out of town. And this deal, this is going to work for a really good high-end rental. I think we have some serious opportunity to do a very successful BRRRR on this property. So for all those investors out there who are looking for BRRRR deals, and I know there is a ton of you, because every time I put out a BRRRR deal, I usually get 10, 20 offers on the first day. And then for weeks to come, I get guys like, oh, you got any more BRRRR deals? You got any more BRRRR deals? Yes, I do have more BRRRR deals. You know, they're few and far between, the really successful ones, because you're able to pull all that money or the majority of that money back out. So everybody's scrambling trying to get those BRRRR deals. But this is a very nice high-end BRRRR deal. That's going to be coming out, hitting the channel probably a week or two after you've first seen this video. So stay tuned for that. I want to jump into a quick commercial break, and then we're going to get into all the details on that triplex, 2136 West Boulevard.
Selling some of your smaller real estate holdings is a great way to raise the funds necessary to maximize the growth of your real estate portfolio. A 1031 exchange can benefit you greatly by allowing you to defer your capital gains tax so you can use those funds towards the purchase of more real estate instead. You are going to need a qualified intermediary in your corner. Dave Foster is a degreed accountant with a track record of successfully serving as a qualified intermediary for thousands of clients. Dave and his team would love the opportunity to see if a 1031 exchange is right for you. To set up a free consultation with Dave and his team, call 850-889-1031 or visit the1031investor.com.
All right, without further ado, the reason that you are here, 2136 West Boulevard, Cleveland. As you can see right here, I've got all the important facts on the screen. Purchase price, market rents, taxes, etc., you name it. What I want to talk to you about, though, I want to talk to you about the story behind this property. A lot of you come to this channel because you want to talk about, you want to see the real stuff that happens in the real estate investment industry. Just like Section 8 ain't all blue sky, owning rental properties ain't all blue sky. Sometimes there are issues, sometimes there are bumps in the road, and it is my goal to be your number one source for that knowledge, for that information, because I want you to know exactly what you're getting into. Currently, right now, the property, it's awesome. We got the third floor totally rented. We got the down totally rented. The middle, the upstairs unit, you know, typically that would be the upstairs unit in a duplex if there wasn't a third floor apartment. That is completely turnkey and ready to rent. But it didn't get that way. It wasn't always that way. One of my business partners, the principal owner and president of Black Tie Title, Nick Varner. I'm sure you guys have seen Nick around the channel. He's produced a lot of content for us because outside of owning Black Tie Title and running Black Tie Title, Nick is an active investor and property flipper. I sold this property to Nick last year, and Nick operated it, and you know, it was a little distressed when I sold it to him, so his plan was to go in and totally upgrade everything, provide a great turnkey product for everyone. During Nick's renovation, you know, he got thrown a little bit of bad luck. These kind of things happen, and that's, you know, the purpose of what we're doing today, showing you can move on from that. Nick actually had a fire go down in one of his units, and I believe that fire was after he had completed a lot of those renovations. So he did a lot of work, and then he had to go back and start from scratch. So what I have got for you now, I am going to send you to some footage on site at the property where Nick met up with Kevin Hoag, another partner here at Holton-Wise. Kevin Hoag actually runs our insurance division. I'm sure many of you that are watching have seen his content pop up in our videos, and many of you that already own properties through Holton-Wise probably insure them through Kevin. So Nick, of course, did the insurance claim through Kevin, and I want to send you guys to that footage now where Nick and Kevin walk through the property and kind of walk you guys through the entire process, how we go from, you know, oh man, the house caught on fire, to where we're at today, where everything's fixed, everything's renovated, and now the property is available for you guys to purchase as a completely turnkey asset.
Hi everybody, Nick Varner here. I'm at my newest property, 2136 West in Cleveland. It's a triplex, completely redone. And today I am meeting Kevin Hoag, my insurance agent here. During the middle of this project, as I was rehabbing it, when I took this property over, it was highly distressed. There were 2 tenants, 1 vacant unit. Really, 2 of the units were in really bad shape, and I have rehabbed both those units. Now the tenant is on the 3rd floor. We're in the 2nd floor, which is still vacant and advertised for rent. But during the middle of this project, something had happened to me on this project that had never happened before in the 10 years of me doing this. We were totally done. The property looked about like this on February 2nd, and I get a call from my foreman saying, whoa, there's a fire at West. So that sent a big panic through me. I was like, whoa, what's the extent of this? You know, what's the damage? So immediately I called my insurance agent, Kevin, and Kevin, you know, I asked him to come on out. So now we're back to the end of the project again after all that, but I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about what it took to get this property from completely done to a victim of fire damage to back on track. Hey Kevin.
Hey, Nick. How's it going?
How's it going, Kevin?
Excellent.
Yeah. So Kevin, this place looks a little different than the first time you saw it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Yeah. Last time I was here, there was a big hole in the wall from the fire. The window had been busted out. The floor had scorch marks on it. The ceiling had smoke damage. It was definitely a little bit different looking.
So what was nice is that I had never made a claim before. I'd never had any type of fire in any of my properties. So when that happened, I was extremely nervous. You know, like, what are people okay? How much is the damage? You know, what does it look like with insurance? How does that work? How's the city going to work? You know, there was an existing tenant on this property. Is everything okay with their possessions? So there were so many questions when I got that first call. So before I even came out here, I called Kevin. So Kevin has a number, all my policies under his farmer's agency. And, you know, Kevin, as an investor or as a homeowner, when there's a fire, it's a pretty nerve-wracking experience. So like, but working with you, it was definitely alleviated some of those concerns. You know, you met me out there the same morning, Saturday morning, you came out and met me with the property, which was great. You walked me through the claims process, which was awesome. Within 10 days, I got a claim on this property. Could you maybe tell the viewers about how the claim process works a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So Nick had the fire. It happened on a Friday night. Saturday morning, I got the call. We were out there in a couple of hours to take a look at the damage. The biggest thing with a fire is that you want to make sure everybody is safe and that the property is safe so nobody else will get hurt if there are structural or integral damages where something may fall down on somebody or the house may shift and move. So that was the first thing that we had. Your contractors out here with myself and you. We went out, we went through everything, made sure it was safe. We locked up the property so that nobody else could get in here. That is a condition of your policy, is that within 24 hours of having a major claim, you need to properly secure the property so that no vandalism or somebody can't come in and steal from you, because obviously you're in a vulnerable state with your property, possibly not having doors, windows, or other items that can keep people out. So after that was all said and done, we got the claims team over here. That she came out, I believe, on Monday or Tuesday as fast as she could, and she went through the property. Our adjusters are great. They do a great job going through all of the damage and taking care of, looking over all of the work that needs to be done and coming up with a full estimate for you. Some of the big items that we want to check as your insurance agent is, what is your deductible going to be? Is it worth making the claim? Sometimes claims aren't that large and they seem larger on the outside than they really become once you get into getting your contractor to go through all of the damages. So we wanted to take a look at that. We wanted to take a look at how the claim was going to get paid out for you to see if it was also worth making a claim. Depending on the type of policy you have, you may not get paid out accordingly like you think you're going to get paid out, which might make it not worth filing the claim. Luckily, Nick and I have gone through his policies. Over time, we've come to a conclusion of what the best policy is for him, and it worked out really well that he was fully covered, everything was paid for, and like he said, it was paid out in about 10 days?
10 days, yeah.
Yeah, in 10 days he had a check, so he was able to get back to work and get this unit turned over.
Okay. So I'd like to come back to the insurance parts of this in a little bit and go a little bit more in specifics about selecting policies and policy types and deductibles and all the rest of it. However, I'd like to actually focus in on what I had to go through now as the investor, with the actual specific fires. So in this case, there was a wire going along this wall to this outlet and then to this switch as well. And we think the problem very well was determined that there was some spliced wires and the wire had just completely burned up. So it was in the end, it looked like very poor craftsmanship to me, to Kevin as well, right?
Absolutely.
Now, thankfully, the tenant downstairs was a night owl. She called the Cleveland Fire Department, and they came out right away to get this up and running. So one of the interesting things, as I called Kevin that day, there was smoke everywhere. The smoke damage may have been, the smoke and the smell was probably one of the worst parts about it. I mean, fixing the electric and fixing the wall is one thing, cleaning it up is another. The floor here was like this, but it was all damaged, so we had to replace all the floor. One of the biggest problems though for me was, okay, when can I get started, right? So there's a fire. The first thing you want to do is let's get it back on track. I want to get my project done. I want to move on, whether it's I want to find a tenant or I want to sell it. But the problem was that, once there's a fire, the Cleveland Fire Department came out, the city's involved. The city came out and said, they put a tag on my door and they said, call the building department. So I set up a time with the building department. I had to leave this place while the claims adjuster came out for a week. It really wasn't to my advantage to touch anything for about 10 days while I figured out what the city wanted me to do and what the claims adjuster wanted me to do. So, from February 2nd when the fire happened to about, I'd say February 14th, 15th, I really just sat there and waited and made calls and tried to get a plan with electricians and cities and claims adjusters. So I found that, that wasn't such a long time, but it was a bit frustrating as someone who was like, I just want to get this project done.
Right.
Okay, so as an investor, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've purchased well over buying and selling 100 properties. So I have a certain viewpoint of insurance, which is I've never made a claim before. It just kind of seemed like it's just money out the window every single month. So with all my policies, I had a perspective of bare bones, like keep it low because I'm not really going to take advantage of this anyways. Insurance seems like they never really pay for anything anyways. Like what's going to happen here? A terrorist attack or an earthquake? We're in Cleveland. It's probably not going to happen. A hurricane? Forget that, right? So, we're really banking on fires and tornadoes, and I'm just like, these are not really that usual events. In fact, they've never happened to me before. So I had that perspective on insurance. With that said, I had teamed with Kevin. He has a bit more experience on this and dealing with claims. So I had a actual cash value, which means it wasn't going to cover the replacement cost, which would be more expensive as a premium. And then I also had a higher deductible. That lowered my premium as well. But there were a few extras. So the total came out to be around $13,800 in damage for this wall and all the smoke that went through the property. So I had to replace the floor, you know, this was all totally smoldered and charred. There's a difference between char and smoke, we found out too. If there's smoke, you can usually clean it up. If it's char, you gotta get rid of it. So my claim was $13,800. Since I picked a $10,000 deductible, in that case, usually it'd be a $5,000 deductible for most investors. That did cost me $5,000 in. So instead of getting, you know, $8,800, I got $3,800. Now, in this one particular case, yeah, obviously, it would, in retrospect, it would have been nice to have the extra $5,000.
Absolutely.
However, I'm not going to change any of my personal strategies moving forward because, you know, I just do so many of these where it's like the premiums do need to stay lower to work for me. But I think that does, as an investor at home, you know, if you are scared of incurring some type of loss, you can do higher premiums and lower deductibles and potentially, you know, get more if some disaster does happen to your property. So Kevin, could you talk a little bit about some things that investors should know about between actual cash and replacement cost coverage to start?
Absolutely. So actual cash is the type of policy that a lot of investors go with if they buy the property free and clear, all cash. The problem with that is that you have depreciation that kicks in whenever you have a partial claim. And this was obviously a partial claim. If it was a total loss, no problem. However much your dwelling amount is, let's say $100,000 in total coverage, total loss, we're going to pay you $100,000, no deductible even taken out. On partial losses, however, depreciation is going to be what kills your claim, especially in Cleveland where the houses are much older. They have plaster a lot of times in the walls. They have older material in the house, so they get depreciated down to nothing, and there's no value at the end of the day for the claim. Now, with the replacement cost, unfortunately, Cleveland has large properties. This duplex or triplex that we're sitting in right now is probably sitting around 3,000 square feet. And for a total replacement cost value, you're looking at anywhere from $100 up to $150 per square foot. So $300,000 to $450,000 in coverage for a property that is not worth that much money in our market. Cleveland's market is a little bit of a lower market, which makes it great for investing and buying these properties because you can really cash flow heavily on this type of stuff. Now, when we come into our types of policies, we have a third policy that we like to use. And it's not actually a third policy, it's just an endorsement that we add onto a policy to merge the two policies together. So we take an actual cash value policy, which is more favorable when it comes to the price of the premium, and we add a repair cost endorsement. That repair cost endorsement is $75. In this case, me and Nick went through this over time and we decided that $75 per property is not that much extra. So that's kind of where we made the happy medium in between an actual cash value policy and a full replacement policy. Now that repair cost policy, what it actually does is it takes old material, let's say plaster or a slate roof, which are great examples for this case. If you had plaster in here, on a replacement cost policy, they're going to pay out what it takes to replace the property with plaster. On an actual cash value policy, they're going to depreciate the useful life of that plaster, basically down to zero because it's probably been in the house for 80 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the repair cost says we are going to pay out based on the most commonly readily used material in today's market. So for an example of plaster, we would pay out as if we were going to replace it with drywall. On a slate roof, we would pay out based off of an asphalt shingle roof because that's what's most commonly and readily used in today's market. So that's really what saved this claim, was that you had the repair cost endorsement, which allowed you to have all of your items in here at today's market of materials, and you use today's market materials to do the repair, so that kind of was a wash in that state there.
Sure. One of the things I would encourage you guys to do as you're investing is
make sure you're subscribed to our investor mailing list. We are going to send you an email with the latest investment properties for sale every single day at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can expect a full video offering just like what you've seen today in every one of these emails. Holt and Wise has a worldwide audience of real estate investors. If you are a lender, home inspector, or anyone else with a real estate related business who would like to increase your sales and exposure with an ad in one of our videos, go to holtonwise.com today.
To seek out an insurance agent who either has a lot of experience working with clients who are investors as well and can really talk about, working with claims involving tenants, rental situations. Have that insurance agent, they should be able to walk you through use case scenarios like what happens if there's a fire, what happens if there's an earthquake, what happens if there's a hurricane, what happens if there's a hurricane but the wind doesn't damage my property but there's flooding, am I covered by that? So really getting specific, and your insurance agent should know that. Also say, hey, Chuck, my insurance agent, if there's a fire at my house and I call you, are you gonna drop everything and just come out to my property? I mean, Kevin, I don't exactly burn up Kevin's phone all the time with a bunch of questions, right?
Right.
But when there's a fire, it'd be nice if you could come. And right away, Kevin was there to show up. So work with an insurance agent who, when you really need him or her, they will be there for you. So that's one thing I would really encourage you guys to do. Now, one of the things I found was really interesting working through this process was at the time, the third floor was totally done. We had a tenant who was going to be moving in, but it was still vacant. The second floor was totally done. Then obviously the fire happened. But the first floor was tenanted at the time. Now, Kevin, could you tell people what would have happened to my claim had that tenant in the first floor not been there? This property would have been totally vacant. Would I have had much luck with insurance in the claim? So
had the property been totally vacant, we would have used a different policy. We would have used a vacancy policy so you still would have had coverage for it. It would have been more of an actual cash value policy rather than the repair cost endorsement added into it because it's a vacancy policy. Now, the way the claim would have been paid out would have been handled pretty much the same, only you would have had that depreciation put into each material, and so therefore you probably would have been looking at less of a payout for your claim. Had the tenant that was downstairs not woken up or been awake when that fire happened, you would have been looking at a much larger loss. In fact, you got lucky enough that the fire department came and was able to pull the drywall off of the wall and put out the fire by stomping it out with their feet. They didn't have to spray any fire extinguishers or spray any water in this property. So luckily this was a minor fire, which doesn't happen very often. You had a night owl in the property, she smelled it right away, she called right away. That's not always the case. In fact, a lot of times the fire has at least several minutes, if not 20 minutes to really go up in flames. We could have been easily looking at a total loss type of situation here had this fire grown and the fire department had to come in with hoses to put out this fire. In which case, at that point, because he had a tenant living downstairs, he has loss of rent coverage as well, which would have kicked in. In fact, it would have paid for your rent reimbursement for that tenant because they would have had to move out. Now, their renter's policy would have to cover for them moving out and everything else there, but for your policy, it would have covered the lost income from no longer having your tenant being able to live in this property. And that would have also kicked in. Fortunately, this was in the middle of a renovation and there was no tenant and there was no lease in place yet, so that didn't kick in.
All right. Awesome content from Kevin and Nick. Thank you to those dudes. We could just stand up here all day and sell you guys turnkey real estate, but I don't like that. That's boring to me, number one. Number two, look at the numbers on the screen. As you can see, the property is a cash cow. This property is going to be amazing for those investors who want to leverage their funds utilizing other people's money. Why buy a single family and get one income check where you can take, essentially the same amount of mortgages that you have available and multiply those income checks by 3 or 4. That's why this triplex works. That's why I don't really have to spend much time selling you on the concept of buying this triplex. You're watching this, you know that it's a good deal. So if you want to buy it, you can go ahead and reach out to me directly, jameswise@holtonwise.com. Or if you'd like, Nick Varner, the owner of that property. His wife is actually a realtor here at Holton-Wise. I'm going to punch her contact info in the show notes below. If you want, you can actually reach out to Juliana directly and you could talk to her about the property and you could make a purchase of that property. Or, maybe you decide that you don't want to buy that triplex, or there's several other bidders, because I anticipate a ton of people wanting to buy this triplex. I teased it at the show. All of you guys who are watching, you know that my favorite property is those quads. That's because you get 4 times the amount of income coming in. Well, the next best thing to a quad is obviously a triplex. So I expect multiple offers on this. So shoot me your info. If you want to buy it, shoot it over to Nick's wife, Juliana, directly if you want. If you're talking to Juliana and this one is already sold to someone else, maybe Juliana and the rest of the Varner team have some other things in the works that they can talk to you about. Whatever you want to do, guys, we've got the information, we've got the deal flow, we've got the content out there for you. So if this is the first time you've ever clicked on one of these videos, do yourself a favor and smash that subscribe button. And down in the show notes, you're going to see a link to join my mailing list. I will send out a video just like this one to you every single day at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I'm James Wise with Holton Wise, and this is Real Estate Investing Made Easy.
Cleveland, Ohio is widely considered to be one of the top rental markets in the entire United States. This is because here in Cleveland, our housing prices are low and our rental prices and demand are high. At Holton Wise, we provide the complete turnkey solution for all real estate investors, whether they are local, out of state, or even abroad. As real estate brokers, we will provide you with agent representation to help you buy properties ranging from single-family homes to large apartment complexes. We even have referrals for lenders who can provide investment property loans to investors located in all 50 states, allowing you to capitalize on the use of leverage or other people's money. We have referrals to top-notch title companies so you know that all of your transactions are safe and secure, with every single property being delivered to you with clear title. Once you close on the property, we have an investor-focused insurance brokerage who can handle all your property insurance needs. This insurance brokerage handles auto, home, life, and business policies, but they specialize in working with policies for landlords. We also have full-service property management. We can handle all rental property advertisements, tenant placement, rent collection, evictions, maintenance, landscaping, construction, and repairs. In addition, Holton-Wise also offers digital media and education. One day, when you are ready to sell your investment, Holton-Wise, as the #1 seller of investment properties in the greater Cleveland area, can market your property in a video just like this one to our worldwide base of investors who are looking to capitalize on the high cash flow opportunities in the Cleveland, Ohio market. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on our latest content, including video tours and analysis of investment properties that are available for sale, real estate investment education, and our most interesting encounters with tenants from hell. Holton Wise, real estate investing made easy.